And have fun and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcast can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, posts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now and join the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Weekly Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Mekas. If this is your first time listening or watching us, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, share, comment, care too. Follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. We're just about everywhere now. Ooh, just look at the bottom. And also don't forget to check us out on our new Rumble channel, The Uncensored Material. So today we welcome back Victoria Andersen, paranormal author, international inspirational speaker, and podcast host. Joins us today to discuss time portals and quantum healing from high up there in the mountains. Welcome back, Victoria.
Well, it's a great honor and pleasure to be back. I always love being on your podcast, and so this is the second round.
Round two.
Round two.
Boom. Round two. I don't have the ding ding. Ding ding. Cool. So, time portals. I've been hearing a little bit about this. People have been talking about, they out strolling somewhere and suddenly they don't hear the birds and the bees anymore. They don't hear anything. Everything goes silent, and they feel the weird hum and feel, fear and everything. And other things. Some people saying they're seeing them more now than ever. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of experiences, if you can believe that. I write about them in all three of my books. So this is something that's been a part of my life journey. And only within, I think, the last couple of years where you're right, you have seen an uptick in discussions and experiences about them. And it's almost like you can't log on to a homepage and not see something about, warps in time, Mandela effect, quantum healing. It's now bubbling up into the mainstreams. And the more it does that, guess what? More people are going to comment, because now there's a safer place to discuss it, whereas maybe a couple of years ago, nobody wanted to bring it up. They thought that maybe they were imagining it, but clearly they were not.
Afraid to discuss something like that.
Yes.
Conspiracy or
well, you don't also, there's that, what they call it, the cognitive dissonance, where you're not sure where to place it. You just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, even myself, who has kind of grown up having a lot of paranormal experiences, but I'll tell you, realizing you're in a different dimension is pretty scary, because there is a common fear with people who, once they realize it, your worst fear. I don't know. Do you want to take a stab at what your worst fear is if you're in a parallel dimension?
Who am I going to run into? Who am I?
Oh, well, that could be another fear, but usually the fear is, how do I get back to my own? Am I stuck here?
Yeah.
You know,
First trying to find out whether it's a good place or a bad place.
right, because you're not sure. Because I mean, here's for the most part, I mean, there isn't anything really. I mean, a lot of the experiences, both in mine and some of the other ones that I've listened to over the years, is that, you know, there's parallel dimensions, not necessarily different dimensions. And in the parallel ones, they're not identical, they're parallel. So there'll be things that are slightly off. And, you know, like I said, you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you're not hearing any birds. You lose sound of the traffic. And you clearly can see that everything looks, for the most part, the same.
Yeah.
You know, recently I did a short on my, I guess, most recent one, where I was going to my yoga class. It was something I had wanted to do. I found this great yoga class. It was nearby. Nothing ordinary at all. I was going through an intersection and I saw like this weird, like, I thought it was like car exhaust, because, you know, in the Southwest, fog isn't something you normally see. So I'm thinking it's some leaky oil, you know, exhaust coming through some, you know, poor unfortunate's, you know, car.
Yeah.
But I didn't smell any. You know, it has that kind of that stinky smell.
Yeah.
But again, I had my windows closed. I didn't have them open. And then I realized that none of the songs on the radio none of them were familiar. So it started with everything looks the same. I went through this weird, what I thought was exhaust, but then the car radio, the songs playing on it, got real different. I kept fussing with the knobs.
Yeah.
Nothing remotely sound familiar. So I looked for it and I thought, well, I got it. Who knows? You know, maybe I haven't tuned into the newer music. I went to a classic radio station, which ironically was classic, but again, the songs weren't what you find in class. They were there was a few like Bob Dylan-ish that sound like Bob Dylan, but
the rhythm, the rhythm and the music in itself, the melodies is familiar, but the artist in and of itself it's not the artist.
Exactly. So that kind of was like, huh. And I didn't quite hit it, but you know, again, you have that, I don't know what's really going on. And I kept playing around with the knobs and I couldn't find anything familiar. And then I thought, well, I'm going to take a look, because now something has hit my radar. Right?
Yeah.
The classic radio station now hit like a panic button. And I started to look for other benchmarks, and I got it, but it just unnerved me even more, because all the cars around me had weird model, like makes and models. They had weird colors. They even had weird shapes. And now I'm in a panic because I realize that you know, exhaust must have been some dimensional rift that put me into a parallel universe. And again, my fear was, oh no, let me get back. Because I didn't, you know, you're just like, you have that fear that you're going to be stuck there. I'll be looking at, you know, instead of Fords, Snords or something, you know. You know, instead of Chevy, maybe Drevy, you know.
Yeah.
I'll be listening to just as terrible Bob Dylan version of lyrics in the parallel world in the classic rock, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as I went through this, it was probably about 7-8 minutes, because the drive was going now is from the Mesa that I lived down into right to a few blocks where my yoga studio, where I was heading. I went through again a weird little, wasn't as thick as the first one, but it was just that hazy.
Huh.
And when I did that, guess what? The radio started playing songs that I recognized, and the cars around me, the makes and models and the colors and the shapes were all back to normal.
Yeah. Huh. Now thus far this has only happened once, correct?
Once, yes. And this was, just to give everybody, this was 2019. So it wasn't too long ago. Like some of my other ones were like 10 years ago. So they don't happen too frequently, thank goodness, but that was 2019.
I'd probably like get one of those apps, not going to name names, but they got some apps out there on the phone that it'll record or pick up the music that's on the radio and then give you the name of the artist or the song. That would be interesting if you captured that information and suddenly the phone would give you this artist going, I never heard of them.
That's if the app exists in that dimension, though.
Correct. It's like, okay, so when you get back into your dimension, will it save that on the phone?
Yeah.
If not, see if you can do a screenshot.
That's a good idea
of that. And it's like, if you got enough time. Like, yeah, I like those experiments. So do you think that this place, it's like a moving portal, or because it only happened once? So going back to that area and try to recreate the event and see if that particular time space, that area.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I was at that yoga class 5-6 times a week, and I took that same path. And that was for just about 2 years. So, and it only happened to me the once in the 2 years.
Huh. So it might be, that I look at things at a quantum level, and that I could have possibly a moving portal, because our time and space is different. It's nonlinear. Technically, everything's nonlinear, but it's a moving portal, and it's not. It might be just shifting or just phasing. It was phasing in and out of some sort of a reality. You happen to catch it, and then
I mean, totally. Time is not linear. I mean, I talk about in my third book, the Mastering the Paradox, of kind of like a circular motion, but like a spiral, and there's like intersecting points. But I have talked to other people who are into quantum healing, and they're saying that it's mainly almost like like the atomic, and it can change. I mean, sometimes you see like the atomic kind of spinning, but there are definitely intersection points on it, because one of the things that I noticed with time is that I can feel certain years. So if, say, for example, and this is kind of where it hit my radar, in 2006, I kept feeling like 2006 was 1972. Like I kept feeling the energy of 1972. And, again, you just, back then, I mean, nobody, if you would have talked about parallel universes and, time warps, they would have looked at you like, it's time to change your medicine, right? Consider going on some. But I had that weird feeling, and that was kind of the start of it. And then periodically certain years would happen, and I'm like, this is kind of feeling like 1999. And so what I've done is raised my awareness to look for the parallels in those years,
Yeah.
both personally and globally, and see, what might be the dots that connect there. Or it just could simply mean that the energy points are intersecting, and it doesn't mean anything. They just happen to intersect because, again, with stuff shifting, or myself being more open, because I'm yoga, and the type of yoga I was doing was qigong, and we did a lot of energy work. So it wasn't just simply regular yoga. It was a combination of meditation, qigong, and yoga.
Yeah.
And it's very possible that I was the one who opened it, because now things were changing in me.
Yeah. Yeah. Your auric field was
Mhm.
much expanded out to where it,
Yeah, and something I may have bumped up into it. I hit the intersection point, being that I was a little more expanded.
mhm.
I was able to feel it. Who knows? Maybe it happens every day. And just in that point in time, I happen to be at the right frequency that caught a glimpse of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That reminds me of those those old choose your adventure books back in the day, and I used to love those things. And just it's like, okay, what's the next move? You go this way, you take a left, you take a right, you go there, you go here. It's like, um but I- I've experienced certain things like that too, as far as feeling the energy of an era
Mhm.
of the past. And I would think that I would pick up something that, within my lifetime here, within my linear lifetime here. But no, it hasn't. I've felt energy of times that long before my birth, even in the future, which is weird. But like the 1920s and the 1930s, I felt that energy
Yeah,
and felt
those are
myself
my
back
eras
in those
too.
times.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. Not too much into the future, but I've seen things kind of, I wouldn't say it's not exactly remote viewing, but yeah, lack of a better word, remote viewed, and seen some certain things if we were to stay on this path.
Mhm.
But all different potentials of the path. But yeah, the 20s, 30s, and 40s are very prevalent of stepping into, but haven't actually haven't actually gone back there yet. So just waiting.
Yeah. Well, in my books, I talk about the time loops, and I was, according to these dream time experiences, I was part of a looper, what they called it, a looper program,
Hmm.
which is you go back into time and fix things. And one of them, I literally would meet somebody in these dream encounters. They had like a
Yeah.
clipboard, and they're going, you got to do this, you got to show up at this time, you got to dress like this, you got to learn this, you got to know this, and you got to go in there and change you know, the events at this particular event and time.
Yeah.
And one of those assignments was to assassinate Hitler.
Ooh,
Yeah,
wow.
1939. I couldn't see the date, but the person who I met, here I was in this, I don't know where, all I saw was jeeps coming, and there was a person dressed in like the SS uniform and with a clipboard, and he goes, look, your job is to assassinate him. The woman who was assigned to him failed. She backed out. She got scared and backed out. It's
Yeah.
your job to do it. And I'm all like, are you kidding me? I think you got the wrong person. And, I talk about this in my book because, here they hand me this tote bag, and it has a uniform. It has, what are those darn, like the garter belt
Yeah.
with the stockings? I had to wear those darn things. I couldn't
Oh
even
wow.
figure them out. And I'm all, how am
Yeah.
I going to assassinate them? I can't even figure out my garter belt, right?
Right. Uh,
So
oh.
yeah. So
Man.
there's a lot of things going on, both I think in our waking world and dream worlds, which I'm pretty sure are other dimensions, or at least some sort of quantum rooms where you're
Mm.
pulled out in some sort of holding area to go back and be part of the crazy mix of time. And
Yeah. Yeah. That just reminded me of something too. It's like I had that thought too that, being offered to go back in time because I have this, I wouldn't say a fascination, but I have this passion that I was there during the Coconut Grove fire.
mm, yeah,
And it every time I see it and or hear about it and stuff like that, it throws me back into that era, that as though I could have gone back and prevented it.
mhm,
Now knowing, after all these years, what actually created it. Um, but it's like, even though it was a very horrific and many, many people died on a very, very cold night, um, that if it didn't happen, our current fire code wouldn't be the way it is.
yeah,
That fire actually prevented so many other different things from happening from then up today.
right.
Um, so
Some
it's like, yeah,
tragedies aren't meant to be changed,
yeah,
possibly. That might have been like a past life, memory. Maybe you were there.
yeah.
Uh,
Because I'll see some pictures of the inside, before and after. It's like something's really. It's like yeah. It seems very familiar.
yeah,
I can't put my hands on it, or it's just weird. It's like, yeah, okay, all right.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that was like a past life thing. Um, I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
I know my husband and I are very fascinated with World War II, and I don't know if maybe part of the Looper program was because at some point, I was part of that.
mm.
And, but
Could be because yeah,
clearly going back, I was, had a different assignment.
yeah,
Something, I felt like there's a very strong connection. Now, my dad was part of World War II. My mom, she wasn't necessarily a Rosie the Riveter, but she was a Rosie the Solderer. She did the
yeah.
soldering for the planes on the warplanes.
Oh
So
wow,
she soldered in the heaters for the warplanes.
that's cool.
Hmm.
Huh?
So,
Yeah, it's
I,
and there's been, I'm not sure if it's been proven, but there's always been this talk that even Hitler was really big into the occult. He
oh
was
yeah,
always researching
the
stuff, and
whole everything,
everything, yeah, everything he
everything.
did. Not only that, I mean, the Vril was his counsel. All these fortune tellers and stuff like that were, he would go to them all the time to get
Yeah.
readings. Um, but his experimentation on UFOs, that possibly he had captured some, downed UFO aircrafts and experimented on them. The work on the Bell.
Right.
I don't know how to pronounce it in
Well,
German,
there
but
is a picture with him, what looks like something alien.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if that's photoshopped or not, but I thought it was interesting, when I was assigned to this, that, I had to learn what he liked, what he didn't like. And I don't remember any of it. It was handed to me into a folder.
mm,
But the fact that he seemed to have a weakness for women, here's this, you know, I don't know what you call him, monster of a man, right? Trying to
yeah,
dominate the world. But he had according to the Looper assigner, he had a weakness for women. And
Huh.
that's why women, and maybe that's why he did the vril, is there's something about the weakness with women.
Yeah.
And that's why the looper program, it's kind of like one went in, she chickened out, you're it, tag, you're it. And I just thought that was kind of fascinating, because
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of maybe insight that I didn't know at the time, because I didn't know about the vril stuff until almost 5, 6, 7 years later. So, but just having that briefing, I should say, on his personality, I kind of really, it's kind of like he had mommy issues or something with women. That he felt
Yeah.
vulnerable. That's why they kept assigning women to assassinate him. But they
Yeah.
kept failing for whatever reason. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if I was successful, because I only remember me trying to struggle with the garter belt in the bathroom of
Yeah.
barracks. So I don't know if I was successful or not, but I can tell you that I was pulled out of the looper program, because going through those dimensional rifts is really bad on your body. Very, very bad. The accelerated aging and health issues that were the onset of that. And I was told that, yeah, you're going to be pulled from that, because ultimately I'm getting too old. I mean,
Yeah.
really, I was just kind of harder and harder for me to bounce back from each one of those assignments.
Yeah. They even have a movie out called Looper, didn't it?
Um,
I think it's
I
called
think so.
Looper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not sure if it's the same. The same.
Looper, Leaper, yeah. So they go by
Yeah.
either Looper and Leaper too. So part of the
Okay.
Leap program,
And Quantum Leap. I used to like that show.
Quantum Leap.
That
Yeah,
was awesome.
that is I'm pretty sure based on that
That
program,
project.
by the way. So a
Mm,
lot of science fiction, having these experiences has really led me to conclude that a lot of science fiction is based on some sort of science fact.
I
And
definitely believe that.
yeah, the Quantum Leap definitely
Yeah.
is based on that program. I mean, the real, so
Yeah.
whether it be somewhere in some ethereal plane that it's happening, but that is definitely the premise, to go back and fix things, because certain people needed the course correction, or else there could be more tragedy or something better needed to happen to set up the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from Spielberg to Kubrick, all these big film producers and stuff. I feel that they know they've been given information,
Yeah,
and
it's been
and
leaked.
throw it in predictive programming, putting it into films.
Exactly. Yes.
Um,
I mean, and I'll just put this out here too, because I watched a, a Star Trek episode that was literally talking about the lockdowns. And they gave a date of, I think it was August 23rd and 24th of 2024. So I'm going to just put that out there, because they were talking about, and supposedly something's going to go down in this episode.
yeah.
And I think this came out in like 1999, 2000, somewhere early in that.
Huh.
And it says San Francisco is going to be the ignition point for whatever
Yeah.
rebellion. And then
Huh.
they're going to put people in camps, and you have to stay in the green zone.
Yeah.
And they says, yeah, this happened. The ignition point was, the 23rd, I think it was 23rd, 24th August of 2024. So keep your
Well,
eye out on those dates. Talking about
yeah.
programming. We'll see
People are
how
gonna
we
have to
get
watch
to
this
Star
show and just
Trek.
as a
Mhm.
yeah. Well, look at The Simpsons. I mean,
Yeah.
for many, 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 many years, and even still today, people
Mhm.
refer The Simpsons that just about every big thing that has happened that's made the news, they go, yeah, they had a show on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Even what like the one that I can think of was Kobe Bryant when
Yes.
his helicopter crashed. And like, I'm not sure how far apart they were, but it's like they had the episode on there. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
It's crazy.
I'm sure there's something. I mean, it's two things. Either these things are staged
Mhm.
and they're I mean, some of them clearly are planned, but some might be staged, and somebody leaks that to
Yeah.
put it through the ethers, right? And do that predictive programming. Or it's possible that some people can just tap into things
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
maybe
kind of
they
like,
shouldn't be. I don't know.
yeah.
But as far as I know, Matt, what's his name? Graney, he's still alive. So, yeah, usually that that people who start seeing things and discussing things, they just have they disappear sometimes.
Or another idea or another theory is, the writers or the producers, of these shows, like The Simpsons or something like that, are tapping into these portals.
Hmm.
Maybe they're going through these, and maybe they've made a deal with, no, not to say the devil, but maybe they made a deal with somebody, that, hey, I can't come up with the episode for the next 5 seasons. Can you help me?
I mean, here's
Okay.
another thing. Maybe they're part of the Leaper Looper program,
Yeah.
and they're taking some of the assignments to incorporate into the shows. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I don't. I kind of, my feeling from that was like serious. It wasn't for
Yeah.
exactly for
Yeah.
entertainment purposes. It was very serious people I was interacting with. Like, you got a small window, sister. You need to
Oof.
do this, 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 and this. So,
Yeah. So the
yeah.
so the new book that's coming out. First, let me put up your website. So for anybody who wants to, come on, let me go to this screen. Is that first? There we go. Leapintoyourstory.com. So you said you have you're currently working on a new book?
I am working on two.
Aha.
So I said I wasn't going to do any more memoirs, but I have more paranormal stories to share. So I've decided to come out with my fourth one, which is going to be Wars in Heavens. And guess what? It's going to be talking a lot about parallel dimensions and time loops like these. So there's plenty more coming up in that. And I'll also be releasing, hopefully this year, a fiction paranormal book that is based on a lot of my true life experiences. Of course, done through a fictional character.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Now, do you see a growing um more? I mean, some people like we discussed are afraid to come out with this stuff because they think they're cuckoo.
Yeah,
But do you see this progressing? The phenomenon of portals, of
I
time
do.
loops and stuff.
I do. There seems to be trends and patterns. Like 10 years ago, there was big things about 1111, the awakening code. There was an uptick in demonic kind of activity, and that kind of phased out, and new things started coming up. So this is the new phase. So things are shifting,
Yeah,
and the fact that more shows like this, more shows like mine, talk about that, I think we're going to see and hear and even experience more of these, because this is things are changing, whether it be for the good or the bad, remains to be seen. But I think that the awareness, and people are different. We are in a different dimension, whether we
yeah,
realize that or not. So I think people are more open, and being that they're more open to that, I think when it hits those radars or those cognitive dissonance moments, they're going to be looking. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we see an uptick, like it says, in maybe the next 12 to 24 months because
Yeah.
it's kind of growing.
Yeah. And that, yeah, when you mentioned as far as the time frame that see, now I just lost the thought. Like with the Mandela effect, I had a show months and
Right.
months and months back about that, is people are becoming more aware of what's going on around them. Some others, some aren't, some are. It all depends on their connection. But and then the talk around the campfire is that, yeah, we are shifting into another dimension by force. We are forcefully
Right.
going through this because our universe is going through this. And essentially, we're either going to move in naturally with it or you're going to be left behind.
Yes.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we're gonna be hitting a boiling point. It's going from a slow, like the frog in the pot,
Mm,
the slow, slow, slow. All of a sudden, that temperature is going to be cranked up. You're not going to be comfortable in that water. You're going to have to. It's going to like hit you in the face,
yeah.
and you got to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
You know?
What
Be
now? What
set-
are your thoughts on this? I think this is a symptom of it. Is the brightness? The sun is a lot brighter than it used to be, or at least it seems like it is. Because I can't
There,
even go outside
yes,
without having
and
something.
it's doing weird things. I see it setting in weird places, so I don't know if we've actually shifted the planet has shifted
Hmm.
because I've noticed that the sun is different too.
Yeah.
Um, higher, lower, definitely brighter. I've been spending more time out there with the sun because believe it or not, I mean, I have picked up some interesting insights when I'm in the sun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's definitely some frequency that's coming out and about. And I noticed even a connection to animals. Just this morning, I saw such a crazy bunch, not just my normal, rabbits and road runners, but I saw a goose in the tree. I was like, I had to call my husband. I'm like, what are they doing in the tree? It was like watching
Yeah.
me. And I freaked it out. That's
Yeah.
why I was like, what the heck? That thing's flying. I says, I mean, it looked like a goose, and I never saw a goose in the trees. So I think animals are also feeling the change. Like when
Yeah.
I'm outside, they want to come near me. And usually little cottontail rabbits, they see people, they scatter.
Yeah.
But I've noticed just even this morning, being that, like you said, the brightness of the sun seems to even just change wildlife.
Yeah.
They're noticing. I would recommend people looking at wildlife because animals and insect, they don't have no filters.
Mm,
They're just reacting.
yeah.
And when you see changes in animal or bug behavior, that's one of my indicators that I gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
But in
Something's
this way, I
happening.
think it was a good thing um,
And
because the
that
frequency
also
was
brings up is
harmonious. That's what it felt
yeah.
like, a harmonious frequency.
Yeah. Yeah. I also noticed this happened this weekend. I made this comment to my girlfriend. I was like, something, because when I go to bed, what I like to do is one of my old phones that I don't use, but I use the app for crickets. So when I
Mm,
fall asleep, literally every night, play crickets. So I hear just crickets in the background.
mhm.
And and it just dawned on me. I'm like, something? I don't hear crickets anymore outside like
Yeah.
I normally do. Not as many. They used to be all over the place. I mean, everywhere you go, but no crickets. It's like their population has dwindled. What happened? Where they all went underground? They're hiding from something.
Yeah.
So,
That's definitely, I look at the bug population. like I says, wildlife, the mornings where I don't hear birds, I am checking to see if I'm in the right dimension. Yeah, that's one of the, no, the obvious, litmus test there of
Yeah.
checking. But, even there's like when I'll wake up and there's just funky energy. And when that happens, even without me putting my feet on the floor, getting out of the bed, one of the neighborhood dogs is very energy sensitive. He will just bark and bark and bark and bark. And it only happens on those mornings where I feel like, ugh, I think I'm going to, lie low because there's something spurkling around that I'm not necessarily liking.
Yeah. Someone also mentioned to me that yesterday, I didn't research this, but they were saying that there was a polar shift, or the poles are about to shift. Something's about to happen, and we're just seeing the symptom of what's about to happen.
It's possible.
So.
There was a psychic lady who was friends with one of my friends, and this is back in 1994. And ironically, she had a ranch down in southern New Mexico. But she had warned my friend to prepare for pole shifts. And this was back in 1994.
Wow.
So.
Huh.
I didn't even know what the heck that meant back then. I was just a naive college girl. I'm like, what does that mean? What do you mean? Well, the North and the South Poles. And I'm like, but what is that? I should have said is, what is that going to look like? Right? That's a better question.
When I first heard about that, I was thinking, all right, the Earth is just going to flip physically.
Yeah,
but technically, it's not. It's more of the poles, the magnetic poles itself shift, but it doesn't really do anything physical to the Earth. It will change certain things, but I mean, forget about the satellites. The satellites will just, it'll probably cause some sort of EMPs and stuff like that, and all kinds of other crazy things. But forget about using your phone.
Yeah.
Until everything recalibrates, if it can. I don't know yet. So it's kind of like it's like kind of preparing for the year 2000. Remember the whole Y2K thing?
Right.
Oh my God, everything's gonna shut down and we're gonna lose everything. We're gonna be back in the dark ages. No, not really.
I remember all that hype, and I was like, not much. What do not much you can do. Everybody's like, oh, your bank account's going to go to zero. I'm like, hey, I'm way ahead of there. It's already there, my friend. I don't have to worry about it.
Right? I ain't got nothing to lose.
Paycheck, and I'm like, there's nothing in my. Let it go. There's nothing in it anyway, right?
Right. Getting close to the end. End of our time for today. What do you want everybody to a good takeaway to leave everybody for our broadcast today?
Well, I'd like everybody to just plug in, unplug your phones and plug into your immediate universe, because there are a lot of clues around you. It's, although not everybody's going to have a parallel universe, but you could be having one and just not know about it because your phone, you get your nose to the phone. But I'm always about awareness and self-empowerment, and know that there is definitely more stuff going around you than you can possibly comprehend. But also, you need to spend time every day and get quiet and see how much power you have within you too. Because ultimately, you're responsible for you. And whether you're in this universe, another universe, pole shifts going on, you're going to need to be sure you're equipped. And that's not necessarily externally, but mainly internal. So
Yeah. And to open your eyes and open to the possibilities of the magic that's going on around us. It happens every day.
Exactly.
You know, there's
I mean,
paranormal activity all the time.
yeah, I don't go looking for it. I mean, that's one of the things I go, wow, I don't start my day with, I'm going to go to yoga and go through a parallel universe. I'm going to go look for one, right? No, it doesn't work that way. It happens because I've certainly done the work on myself. And when you do that, when you focus on improving yourself, because you're not going to change the world. Got news for you. You're not going to change the world. All you can do is change yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, your world will change.
Yeah.
So,
and or your perception of it.
Or your perception, yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Heck yeah.
So.
Oh, Victoria, once again, thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Thank you for sharing your experiences. And if anybody has any experiences like this, comment. Make a comment in our show notes or the comment section.
Yes,
and share them.
Share. Sharing is caring.
Yeah, absolutely. But everybody wants to go check out Victoria Andersen's website. It's leapintoyourstory.com. And check out our books and to be continued with the new books. And let us know when they're out, and we'll have a discussion on those.
There'll be plenty more there.
Oh yeah. Cool. Victoria, thank you, my friend. Namaste. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, and great honor. So to be here again.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody, for watching Conscious Radio Network's The Weekly Seance. And until next week, y'all have a very good night.